Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow bringing you guys another locals. This time went to TGS playing BY. Ended up playing a limb. Round two. This is round two. Round one will be up later. They won the dice roll, chose to go first because that's the curve that limb wants to be able to do their leader ability, which is rest 3 Dawn, play up to a 5 cost Odyssey character, and then ramp a Dawn. So typically, what they want to do is pretty much ramp their first turn and play out a body for free. But as you see, my turn, I ended up playing a baby Sabo for my turn 1, and they hit me for 5. Ended up triggering Three Brothers Bond, searching for one of the three brothers, and they ended up playing a limb, which allows them to search top 5, I believe, for an Odyssey card. It does have another ability where if they rest, if they have, I believe, 2 other rested characters, it would restand itself. And I swing 5 at the limb to kind of get a counter out, and I establish Kuzan, which does draw a card, and I believe it drew me into another Kuzan. My hand isn't looking very promising at the moment. I believe I have 2 Kuzans in hand right now. So you do see here, they're going to swing 7 at my life. I'm going to take it again. No problem with it. I think it was another Kuzan right there. And then they're swinging 6. Here, I'm debating whether to take the life, which I do decide. I'd rather just get myself down to activate ability as soon as possible. You do see he does the leader ability, ramps a Don, rests the 3, ramps a Don, plays out a Dofi, and the Dofi restands itself at the end of turn, which is very good to be able to pressure your opponent's life. So, in a pretty rough spot here, being at how low of life I am, and I do play down Hiyori to grab a life and put 1 at the top, basically to do Sabo ability here and be able to use my leader ability. And you're gonna see here with the Sabo, I do pitch 2 Kuzans and I swapped the regular one for the alt art. One of my favorite alt arts in the game, to be honest with you. But I do this so I can buff my leader up to 7, and then what I'm gonna do is do my leader ability to put 2 cards in life. And I think I can make myself a 9k this turn with 2 extra Dawn left. So you see, I do pitch the Sabo for leader ability, and I put it into my life. And I have to pick another card for my life, which ends up being Fist Luffy for my hand because I don't have a second 5-drop there. But I do establish the baby Luffy to play out the Fist Luffy and buffs my leader up to 9, which allows me to swing for 11k to the limb to basically take it off the board. And I opt for a board clear just because he is able to potentially, attach down and swing big. And you see there, he thought about swinging at life and forgot that the Luffy was a 9k, so it doesn't do anything, so he decided not to. Even then, the Dofi would restand itself. And you see here, he plays audio, which audio allows him to rest or get 3 active Dawn again, and then he uses his ability to play out an Usahachi, which comes in rested. Everything comes in rested with Limb, and with that he's able to rest Sabo, and then I pitch a 1k to protect the Sabo because he did swing at it with Dofi. I do this to get a 5 cost body in the trash. Don't want to let the Sabo go yet. And you see I do Sabo to Sabo, and I do this to buff up and kind of sculpt my hand at this point. Being able to do 2 Sabos, you saw I pitched 2 brick Kuzans, and you see here I'm pitching another Kuzan there. So I saw all 4 of my Kuzans this game, which is pretty insane. And I put a Egghead Luffy in the trash just so that I can start setting up for a potential removal play. And I attach 2 down to my leader, and I have to remember to do Fist Luffy's ability to buff himself up prior to me putting cards into my life. Just gotta get in the habit of that. I don't see myself actually doing it, which might be bad for myself. Oh yeah, there you go. So I do remember to buff up the Luffy here, so he is an 8k swing this turn. And you do see me rearranging. At this point, I want to start pressuring Limb. I've realized that Limb doesn't have a lot of 2k counters. It usually has a bunch of 1ks. So it's better to try to pressure early. And you see I'm activating my leader ability, pitching a Shirahoshi. And I choose Shirahoshi over something else because I believe I have Moria in hand, and with the Kuzan on the field, I could play out Moria, bring Shirahoshi back, give the audio a -4, and Kuzan another -4, and I'll be able to pop it with an Egghead Luffy. So you do see here I am playing out the Usahachi, or I mean the little Luffy over the Fiori to bring out the Egghead Luffy to buff myself up to 9 so I can continue to put pressure. And here I attach the rest of my Don and decide to swing big at the audio, hoping that I can get either the kill for the audio or he's going to give me the Dofi block that he's been continuously restanding in. And he finally decides to give me the Dofi. And I honestly wish I would have left one Don so I could have attached it to the Luffy. And I do swing Kuzan into his Usahachi, give the -4 to audio, and then swing 8 to life. And I do this just because I want to hold on to this Egghead Luffy just in case he plays something else. But at this point, we're going to try to protect the Kuzan because Kuzan is what is needed to be able to remove his big bodies, especially if he plays out a Zoro. I do know this Lim deck likes to play Zoro, and being able to establish it for 3 Don is absolutely insane. It does come in rested though, but still. I believe it comes in 3 Don if I'm not mistaken. I could look that up. So at this point, my opponent's in a pretty rough spot with me being able to go as wide as I did. No, so they can't play out the Zoro with the Lim. They'd have to tap all 9 Don, but even then, still, you can ramp to the Zoro, which is the biggest thing with this deck. And you do see he plays out the Rosinante, which is another blocker that restands on attack. And the Luffy, which the Luffy was able to rest one of my Sabos here, which is potentially going to allow him to swing big at the Kuzan, which is what I don't want. And that's exactly what he does. So what I'm going to choose to do is give him the Sabo, because if he wants to play something else, which he has 3 Don left, he's going to have to do something else, but he can't since he did play out something else. And he opts to choose the Sabo, which honestly was not the right choice if you ask me. He should have chose the Kuzan, because the Kuzan here is what's going to get this audio off the field, comboing it off. So I do swing 5 at leader. He's going to restand the Rosinante, and then on the swing I am going to give the audio -4 from the Kuzan's ability. And here you see me tap 8 Don, Moria. Moria will play out the Shirahoshi and a baby Sabo. And the baby Sabo is specifically just for the Sabo in life, but the Shirahoshi will give it a -4, and I will pop. Misplay on my part, because what I should have did there was swing with the Luffy to get a 6k swing into life. He would have given me the Rosinante potentially, and I still could have popped it. So definitely a misplay on my part. Should have swung first with it, so that's a swing that I could have used. And I always preach this, but BY is a very punishing deck. There are a lot of things you could do with the deck, and even a slight misplay will definitely can change the game for you. So I swing 8 at the Luffy, and he gives me the Rosinante. And again, I'm trying to just pressure board, so then now I'm swinging with my leader. It's only a 9k swing, but I'm essentially asking for counter out of hand. And you see there, he does use Blast Breath. And I pitch out a Garp to set up my life for next turn. And at this point, we're just going to recycle the Luffy and the Sabo here. Luffy could, pop itself, draw a card, even if I'm not popping anything on the field. But definitely could have pressured a lot better this last turn, swinging with the Luffy. But at this point, we have the Lim in a pretty tough spot. I am a 7k leader with 2 life. But I do have the Shirahoshi and Sabo blocker to be able to get out of any swing if I wanted to keep myself at the 2 life 9k leader. And you do see there he's asking something. Oh, I believe he was asking whether the Egghead Luffy does trigger from life if I take the hit, but I had to explain to him, since it is face up, any cards that are face up that would go to my hand go to the bottom of the deck per Luffy's ability. He was mistaking with BY or blue yellow ace, since blue yellow ace, if the card is still at the top of his deck, they need to trash it. I believe it's trash, yeah. But mixing up what the three brothers. I have yet to play blue yellow ace. I've only ever played red yellow Sabo as well as in BY, so maybe it's time to bring that bad boy back. But you see here, he swings 8. I forget whether he was swinging at the Luffy or at life. But I decided to just give him the share Hoshi, because if I have a Gecko in hand, which I don't know if I do, I need the space regardless. And here he's swinging 6, and I believe he swung 6 just to be able to rest the Luffy, so this Usopp can be able to play its ability. And Usopp is okay, but next set you're going to get the NL, which does the same thing, I believe, but better. So it's just for now to be able to use. But he is, you see here, using this Usopp, you know he's filtering his hand, because I believe he just chucked 2 Kriegs out of his hand, which were bricks. So you know he's trying to prepare himself for the attacks this turn. But pretty much this is gonna be game. I'm gonna swing 8 at his leader, and I believe once he starts taking all these swings, I just decide to go all in here. I can't tell. I think he had 3 cards in hand, so I think I'm just gonna attach, or I'm gonna swing 9 with the Moria first, which is a good thing to swing at. Oh no, looks like I do Luffy ability first. Draw a card, which drawing that card will allow me to do some more terrible things. And you do see I do the Sabo ability. Now I draw a Moria. I pitched the Moria because at this point there's no point for it. And at this point with the buff, I do decide to swing out 9. And then Moria will do 11, and I believe another 11, and it is game. If you guys like the content, make sure you guys just subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought of the match, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.